Puppet Combo, or Ben Kokuza, is a game developer that focuses on 80s style horror games. Puppet Combo started his career by making Minotaur back in 2012 and has continued making games ever since then. Puppet Combo has made very popular games such as Babysitter Bloodbath, Power Drill Massacre, The Night Ripper, Night Shift, and others. We all have seen his published games, but what about his lost games? Games that haven't seen the light of day. In today's video, I will be talking about Puppet Combo's lost games. So without further ado, let's get started. Let's go all the way back to 2002 with a game named Halloween 3D. This is one of his first games that he has ever made. Unfortunately though, there isn't much info about this game, but what we can summarize about this game is that you most likely either play as Dr. Sam Loomis, Michael Myers, or a victim of Michael Myers. There are multiple versions uploaded onto his now defunct site, pigfarmergames.com. Apparently, the maps in the game were Smith's Grove Sanitarium, Haddonfield Neighborhood, and the victim's home. The game is apparently removed from pigfarmergames.com due to legal issues with the Halloween series license owners. However, on October 31st, 2011, the build of the game was made available again by various websites and users. Fortunately though, the history of the About section has been archived starting with July 26, 2002, with the About section saying, "Oldest demo I still have. You play as Dr. Loomis and have to search the Myers house, remake of Beta 1.0. May 15th, 2005. Another remake in the Myers house level, shows off the new camera, weapon system, and models. August 10th, 2010. Made in a Night 1.41 has updated pathfinding and not as much running straight into walls. October 31st, 2011. I kind of rushed this out in time for Halloween. The entire town of Haddonfield. Some of the building graphics took a dive, but the goal was simply getting a huge map up and running. I also revamped the menus. July 30th, 2012. After years of self-contained demos, this is actually more of a prototype of the gameplay in the final game. New AI camera, multiple levels. It's actually starting to become a game. The final About section, August 14, 2012, had no About section. However, it was known that this version introduces the ability to cut the power from victims' homes and turn off lights. We'll most likely never see this game again due to legal reasons. But who knows, one day someone might just leak it onto the internet. Moving on to our next game, we have A Monster with Eyes of Ice, made in 2012. Unlike last game, this game we have much more info on what it's about. The description of the game says, after the events of Sanitarium Massacre, a deranged serial killer manages to escape Lincoln State Mental Hospital in search of his next set of victims. In the game, you played as Neocolis Burr, sneaking across suburban Monroe, Washington, and break into the homes of unsuspecting victims and slaughter them. This was a stealth-type game, meaning that any slight noise will cause your victims to run away, making you lose the game. Weapons were scattered on the map, so that you can slaughter your victims. If you're a psychopath, of course. This game was set in the same universe as Sanitarium Massacre and Babysitter Bloodbath. A trailer for the game was made and is still up on YouTube to this day. Sadly though, there is no footage of the gameplay. Next up we have Sanitarium Massacre, but I wouldn't really count this one. Mainly because this is on Puppet Combo's Patreon, and the game was remade into Babysitter Bloodbath. So I'm just going to shortly talk about this one. The game is about you playing as Neocolis Burr, getting gunned down by police in a home invasion, and getting locked up in a mental hospital for 8 solid years, before snapping and escaping to wreak havoc upon the staff with a butcher's knife. It was that the physical release of the game along with the limited edition Neocolis Burr statue were planned, but it's unsure if that actually happened. It was apparently located in an old Google Drive file by Puppet Combo. On to our next one, we have Splatter Camp, made in 2014. It was a survival horror game where a psychotic killer raids a summer camp, murdering unsuspecting campers. The reason for Splatter Camp's cease in development was the announcement of Friday the 13th, the game, originally titled Summer Camp. It is believed that the creators copied Splatter Camp as the original concept and logo designs were very similar. A remake for Splatter Camp was considered and in short development in 2016, but it was quickly discarded. A trailer for the game was made, and some images were uploaded, including the title, the maniac, and a prototype version of the killer. But of course, the game was not published. We now enter 2016 with a game named Burnt Alive. The story follows a group of teenagers resting on an eerily vacant hotel. During their stay, they are attacked by a large person in a fireman's suit As one of the surviving teenagers, Nancy must find her friends and escape the hotel. The player will sometimes be given the option to select from a list of sentences or actions, depending on what the player chooses. NPC dialogue and possibly environments and endings will vary. In the game, we have our protagonist, Nancy, a short average teenager. We have supporting teenager, Sybil, an 80s popular bitch stereotype. We have another supporting teenager, Chris, a short nerdy teenager. He had just inherited his parents' old house in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and was driving there with all of his friends, the main cast, tagged along for a little trip there. Next we have a side teenager, Joe, a tall athletic teenager. He starts having a headache when they arrive at the hotel and asks Nancy to grab him a soda. When Nancy returns, however, Joe cannot be found. He is most likely the first one to be killed off or captured in the storyline. Next we have Dolores, front desk woman, an obese southern woman with long dark hair. Acts kind towards the teenagers, but most likely supports a fireman. And you might be wondering, who is the fireman? Well, the fireman is the killer. He is a large man wearing a full-body fireman suit, gas mask, and headlamp. He wields a fire axe to slash his victims up. Bird's Life was based on the true story of Holmes' Murder Castle. This game was one of the first public combo games to have full-on voice acting. It was also one of the first public combo games to include hair physics. I'm not quite sure why this game has a lot of info on it, unlike the other games, but it was probably said by the creator. I'm not sure though. We also have pictures of the game and the characters. Honestly, this game seemed pretty promising. I hope this game gets a remake or something. We have our very last game, made in 2017, named Pitchfork Massacre. The game takes place at a house party, but people start to disappear and the players have to survive. Apparently most of the game was finished in 2017, but it was put aside to work on the Night Ripper. Public Combo posted tweets and Instagram posts on the game. Some of the posts included some characters. On the early version where all character models were Megan being the main protagonist in Pitchfork Massacre, the logo for the game, some cutscenes, the death scene, and much more. Public Combo, however, has not posted a picture of the killer. We can only see the shadow of the killer in one of the pictures. Those are all of the official lost games, but I have some honorable mentions. Games that have been remade, but old versions still lost. And here are those games. Minotaur, a horror game made back in 2012. The full game was released, but the beta version is still lost. Beta versions doesn't really count, but it's the reason why it's in honorable mentions, so... But anyways, in 2013, Public Combo was working on finishing Minotaur. The game had a new environment, and new puzzles were added. The building that the player would be placed in was much larger, more detailed, and had many traps. The updates of the game were shown on the official Pig Farmer Games website, which is now defunct. Unfortunately though, development was never completed, but many concepts of Minotaur's new environment were added into Buzzsaw Bloodhouse. And finally, we have Evil Clowns. This game is just like last game, but this time it's the prototype. I'm not sure this one counts since it's the prototype and I don't know if there's a download link for it, but I can't find it, so there's not much info on the prototype besides some pictures of it, but I'm going to assume it's the same as the final version, which is the current version. So that's all of Lost Public Combo games. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you like and subscribe. I put a lot of effort into these videos. Well, ignore my long break from commentary, but besides that, I hope you enjoy my content. And I'll see you guys soon.